Hello everyone and welcome to another review from the original Next Level Gaming. I am Mike Mullis, aka StingerNLG, and today we've got Ripstone and VooFoo Studios' Pure Hold'em. The game is out now for the PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. Now if the game's name sounds a little familiar to you, it's because VooFoo Studios also put out Pure Pool earlier in the year. So Pure Hold'em is the first Texas Hold'em game to come out on the PS4 and Xbox One. And while it's not terribly flashy and doesn't have the World Series of Poker or big name sponsorship, you'll find that this game is still very solid and extremely fun if you're a Hold'em player. Now this is going to be somewhat of a short review because, well, it's Texas Hold'em. There isn't a whole lot of gameplay to be had in a card game. So we'll talk about what this game actually does for you as it stands. So jumping right to the most important game mode, online. You can join a table of 8, or you and up to 8 friends can create or join a tournament. And of course, if you're not in the mood to play online with your friends or with other people, you can play offline with some AI. So both in the offline and online mode, you can join a number of different tables. The better the table, the higher the buy-in, and of course the higher the betting. So for example, you can enter the Jacks table, which is a $100 buy-in, and $1 or $2 big blinds. You can enter a Queen's table, which is a $1,000 buy-in, which is a 5 small blind, 10 big blind. You can be in a King's table, which is a $10,000 buy-in with a 50 small blind and a 100 big blind. An Aces table, which is a $100,000 buy-in with a 1,000 small blind and 2,000 big blind. And if you get far enough in the game and you get enough chips, you can enter the Masters table. The Masters table is a $1 million buy-in with a $10,000 small blind and a $20,000 big blind. That's where the high stakes rollers are, and that's where you're really going to get tested on your poker skills, because that can break you in a minute. Now when you're playing offline, the various tables also control the difficulty of the computer AI. So as you might imagine, this Jacks table, which is your basic table with the $100 buy-in, is pretty low stakes. The computer AI is not terribly difficult. It gives you a chance to get used to the game. If you're new to Texas Hold'em, this is the perfect table to get started on. And then you can start garnering chips and kind of getting your bankroll together for the higher table. Once you get to the Masters table, that's the big time, as I said. So the computer AI is also very high stakes. It's not easy to beat them in that game. Now there is a Joker's table, which basically is free chips, and it gives you a chance to kind of practice and hone your skills if you don't want to spend any of your actual money. There, the computer is fairly easy, but it's more about you kind of learning the hands and learning how to play. And you do get some rewards for a good game. Also, for you new poker players, if you really want to learn the game without jumping in and getting onto a table, there is a full tutorial mode, and that mode will step by step take you through the rules of the game, how to play on the table, how to bet, what cards to look for, what each card means, and basically how to play Pure Hold'em. Alright, so I should warn you, there are microtransactions in the game. You start out with a set number of chips. When you lose those chips, you can purchase more with real money. Now, of course, if you're a good player, then there's a good chance that you won't buy chips. But for those of you who are not so good, this is your opportunity to stay in without having to start all over from scratch. There is a leveling up system depending on how long you play and how much you do and how well your hands are, but I haven't figured out yet exactly what that gives you. There is one other way to get chips, and it's a daily game that you can play called High-Low. Now, it starts out with a face card, and then there's a string of cards next to it. You have to guess whether or not the card next to the faced out card is higher or lower. If you guess right, you garner chips and you keep going. And it's like a double or nothing kind of thing. So if you guess wrong, you bust out and get nothing. So it's kind of very high stakes, but it can garner you some serious chips that you can use anywhere in the game, of course. Alright, last thing to talk about, aesthetics and things like that. So it's a good looking game, although it's kind of weirdly washed out color-wise. What you see on the screen has been basically one table or two, but there are different tables, there's different chips, there's different cards, and you can actually set those all in a area for settings for called My Poker. And so you can either do random tables, random decks, random chips, or you can pick your favorites. And not only can you do the color of the table, but you can also pick whatever the pattern is that you like. Obviously, it looks like a poker table. Again, there's no big sponsorship. This isn't WSOP or anything like that, so you're not going to get a whole lot of licensed material. But you kind of don't need it. It's a poker game. It even has its own complete set of cheesy generic music in different styles like big band, jazz, hip-hop, electronic. Nothing you know, nothing licensed. It's meant to carry the ambience of the room, but it's nothing too memorable. So for a Texas Hold'em game, it is fairly enjoyable. At first, the $19.99 price tag kind of made me think about the worth of the game, but then again, even though it's in that upper tier of pricing for an indie game, it does have full multiplayer, and that does count for something. However, I can understand if you feel like that price needs to have a little more meat behind it as far as game modes and things. It is just Texas Hold'em, and it is basically just either play online or play offline or play in a tournament online. There's no offline tournaments, there's no other game modes or anything like that. So it is fairly bare bones. But the game is still very fun online, and it can do what you want without the licensing of World Series of Poker or Full Tilt or anything like that. This is also a great game on the Xbox One if you're snapping TV to the side and you want to just have some nice relaxing poker time while you're watching TV. There is one other thing to keep in mind. It's a single player only game. So you're not going to be able to play couch co-op. Of course, how would you do that when the other person can see your cards? But I just wanted to let you know, if you're looking for a party game for the home, this one isn't it. So if you have a PS4 or Xbox One, and you are into Texas Hold'em, and you're looking for a poker game for your console, this one is highly recommended. And yes, some of that is because there is no competition. But I would imagine that a licensed game is probably going to cost more. And even if there was a licensed game out there, it doesn't necessarily mean it would be as good or the AI would be as good. I find this to be a fun game. I find this to be something that I'm going to play sometimes when I just want something different, or when I just feel like playing some cards, and maybe if I want to meet some new people online. Well, that's going to do it for another original Next Level Gaming review. As always, please leave your comments below. If you've got the game, let us know if you like it or not. Subscribe to our channel. The more subscribers we have, the more of these we can do. Check us out on Twitter at OG_NL Gaming and on Twitch at OG_NL Gaming. So for Next Level Gaming, this is Mike Mullis, and thank you for stopping in, and as always, play on, gamers.